Sweet Jesus, it's episode 17 of Guaranteed Audio. I am Kevin James, joined by
Ryan Murphy
and
Neil Ciceriga.
Via satellite. It's a special day for Guaranteed Audio. We finally have a real podcast mixer with multiple channels and everything. No more of that 2-channel H5 nonsense. We have a real 8-channel thing that took nearly 2 hours to get running despite my best efforts to test it yesterday. How's everything going in Somerville, Neil?
It's all right. The weather is a lot warmer now. People are out, linking arms and kissing on the streets. It's really great.
Yeah. How about you, Ryan?
No, not really. Everyone's being pretty good up here.
Yeah.
Down in Sandwich, there continue to be surprisingly more people than they usually are during a non-COVID, shall we say, May into June.
I've been in
More people?
Oh yeah.
You think people just it's like a king toes, like they were like waiting to get outside, and
Not only is it the weather, which again, this is much easier to be outside when it's nicer out, but a whole lot of people who are wealthy enough to have a second home got out while the getting is good. They packed up their kids and their wives and the cans of beans and said, "We're not going back till it's safe." And I don't think that's going to be anytime soon.
the cans of beans. Well, if you've never listened to our show before, I don't know how you stumbled upon it this time. This is Guaranteed Audio, which you can listen to on iTunes, Google Play, and RSS. GuaranteedAudio.com is where you'll find it. This is the first time we've done an episode where we're going to try and not edit it in post, because now we have sound buttons, which means instead of having to edit this in Premiere later, I can hit this button to start. Media Current. Media Current is one of the few things we do every episode, and it's where the three of us go into some sort of entertainment we've been consuming lately. Ryan, do you want to start?
Sure. I've been dabbling, going back and forth, seasons 2, 3, 4, and 5 of The Sopranos. I love The Sopranos. Been a fan since I used to sneak my mom and dad's VHS tapes and watch them while my dad was teaching summer school and have to rewind the tapes to before he got back to make it look like I hadn't seen it.
That's a very specific moment in time, by the way, when The Sopranos was on TV, but you didn't have a DVD player.
Yeah. When seasons 1 and 2 came out on VHS, it was right at the transition from VHS to DVD. There's actually a scene in the first season where Christopher Moltisante's character gives a DVD player to... He explains what DVDs are to Tony, James Gandolfini, the main character. And instead of being, it's a DVD player, it's all digital, you'll love it. And instead of going, thank you for this stolen property, he just, you mean I gotta buy all my movies again? Which is a very dad sentiment. He's a criminal. And he could say... But that's just who Tony is. He could say, thank you for this free thing. It's just, I have to buy the movies again.
I'd love to, those videotapes that are produced for the owners of video stores to get you to buy 3 copies of a movie.
Yes.
Freddy Krueger in character. I'd love one with Tony Soprano, just at the end of the video rental era being like, hey, it's flying off the shelves. It's the hot new show, and people can't watch it on HBO. They're gonna want to come to your store and pick up.
They definitely use the actor who portrayed Paulie, the one with the white sides of his hair. He's the most cartoonish.
Not Stevie Van Zandt.
No, although he's great, he's
I love
really
Stevie,
good.
yeah.
It's interesting from the beginning of The Sopranos feels like Cinemax porn, and by the end of it, it's like Mad Men, because a bunch of the people who made Sopranos went on to make Mad Men, and that transition of that time is fascinating. The dawn of, the prestige premium before Breaking Bads and Mad Men and so many of these shows that we now just take advantage of, we get to take advantage of. It was just fascinating to see when this was the biggest, most popular and critically acclaimed show in the world.
How about you, Neil? You've been watching The Sopranos?
No, I've actually never seen The Sopranos. I'm not really a mobster guy for whatever reason, usually. I haven't really watched much lately. I kind of got back into coding my game that I've been working on for many years. Doesn't mean it'll ever come out, but I find it's a nice kind of zen thing to do is, fix up my old code and stuff. The only TV
you should
show...
just make the game in dreams.
Oh, yeah. I need to pick that up. The only show I've been watching has been What We Do in the Shadows, season 2. Great show. Have you watched it, Ryan?
I saw the movie. I've not watched the show yet. I'm a fan. I like the movie a lot.
Oh, I kind of like the show more than the movie.
All right, that's a good pick.
Yeah.
Is it like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer situation?
Well, no, I mean, the movie is, I think, a modern classic. The movie's really good.
Buffy, I agree, yeah.
Actually, yeah, I'm with you on that. I kind of like the movie Buffy and the show equally. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, it's hard for me to say, but I really like the lead actors on the show.
Yeah.
One of whom is Mark Proch, who you might know from duping a bunch of morning shows by pretending he was a yo-yo expert a few years ago.
All right, here, set the scene, please, Neil. Pretending he's a yo-yo expert. So
he would just claim to be a yo-yo expert, and he'd get on multiple morning talk shows, and they'd get him out there, and he would just kind of like fumble and drop multiple yo-yos and stuff.
Wouldn't they like vet him? Like, do you think he like
No.
do you think he deep faked his face onto a real yo-yo expert and then sent them the video like, here I am in my backyard today?
I'm pretty sure it's this guy. Hang on, I want to make sure I'm not like misattributing.
you'd think that producers of shows would talk to each other like, don't let him on. He's
Yeah.
Listen, this guy's gonna come to you, the yo-yo guy. But he ain't a yo-yo guy.
No, he'd go on as K Strass. That was his name. But no, it's been really fun to like just go from that to seeing this guy show up on on Cinema. He's a character on the Tim Heidecker show, and Better Call Saul as the card collector from like the first season.
Yeah.
So it's been fun seeing him go from like the most alternative of roles to playing an energy vampire in a really well cast role, and just like they're all really good. I really highly recommend it.
I gotta check that show out. Maybe it's a good one for me to marathon because I haven't been watching a lot of TV either. I've watched a few movies, namely Congo, which we're going to talk about soon, which is kind of the soup du jour, the talk of the town for this episode. But for expediency's sake, I'll make my media current some music that's been stuck in my head. I'd like to recommend 2 songs people check out. One is a new single from this band I'm into called At 1980. The band's name is At 1980. And the song is called Missing You. And right out of the gate, the song just hits, and it sounds like a Flock of Seagulls song in a good way. It's awesome. It's a real good earworm. If I was a smarter man, I would have made it so I could cue it up and play it during this podcast for 10 seconds. But yeah, Missing You by At 1980. Great song if you're, you're just going out for a jog. You're trying to maybe go for even a drive to get away from your home during all of this. Great song to drive to. And the second song, another synthwave song by a band called All the Damn Vampires, which is, I believe, the last line from Lost Boys. But yeah, the band is...
Yes, it is.
Yeah. The band is called All the Damn Vampires, and the song is called Saturday. It's a great song. If I had to compare it to anything, it would be like a Belinda Carlisle single from the mid to late 80s. Cool video. I love the song. But yeah, both of those songs are great. Missing You by At 1980. And Saturday by All the Damn Vampires. Put those on, and I guarantee you'll enjoy listening to them. So on that note, I have no segue into discussing Congo. So I guess we'll take a quick fake break. It's not a real break. We're pretending to take a pee break, but we're going to roll right into it because we can play our segue music on the mixer.
It'll be real great.
Congo from 1995. Ryan's been wanting to talk about this for over a year. Why?
Well,
Yeah, why?
I'm going to open with a preface. We're prefacing now. I am going to say some negative things about the film Congo.
No.
I'm going to be critical of the film. I'm going to have criticisms of the film Congo, but I think it's important to preface that this film, I have a soft spot in my heart for this movie. It is a part of my childhood. It's a part of growing up, and it would have most certainly been better as a memory than something to revisit. But it is a hot mess. But this is not just going to be shitting on the film Congo. There are fun things about this movie in a way that should really never get remade. But it is, in so many ways, a fun disaster.
Let's set the scene. It was 1995. We were all, 8 years old? Right?
9, close enough.
Yeah. We all had become men that year. Jumanji, 12 Monkeys, Toy Story, Seven, Clueless, and of course Money Train. They were all just out in the theater.
All movies that we were watching.
All movies that we were watching. Tank Girl, Mortal Kombat. I think the Power Rangers movie came out that year, which is very important to us.
Yep, summer 95.
I saw bits and pieces of this on cable as a kid, and it was always the ending. It was always the last 10 minutes. It was never any other part of this goddamn movie. And the last 10 minutes of this movie, it really hangs its hat on. Like, it's,
Oh, yeah.
It'd be like if you watched Jurassic Park and the T-Rex was the only dinosaur you fucking saw, and it was in the last 10 minutes of a 2-hour movie. Right? The movie is bookended. Okay, so for the uninitiated, Neil, what is Congo?
It's a Michael Crichton novel. Have any of us read it?
No, I own the novel, but I've starred 3-4 times, and it's no. The short answer is no.
1980.
They actually made me read it in school.
Oh wow.
I'm
Really?
lying. No.
I don't know. Sometimes it's that sounds like the equivalent of when they put on a movie in school. You know.
All right,
It's
I will
not really
say
educational.
this is not a compare and contrast of Congo, the creature feature from 1993's Jurassic Park, but it is irrefutable that Congo would not have been greenlit by a studio unless Michael Crichton's name also delivered a dump truck full of money. This movie was marketed like The Relic, but unlike The Relic, another product, a relic, if you will, of the 90s, there were action figures with this movie. There was such a huge ad campaign to hype this as an R-rated movie that your parents will see. You don't make toys for a movie that you don't want children to see.
Yeah. The movie had been shelved for like 3 decades, right?
Yeah, it had been in production hell for a while.
No, a decade and a half. I'm sorry.
Yeah, written in 1980. And
I think they sold the movie rights before the book came out or something like that.
Yeah, and it was clearly rushed into production hot off the heels of Jurassic Park.
Exactly.
Right?
Like it's Kathleen Kennedy, and the director is what's his name?
You can do
He's
this.
the guy who like produced and like
Frank Marshall.
Frank Marshall. Thank you. Yeah, he did Raiders. So it's Spielberg's friends.
Arachnophobia.
Arachnophobia he directed as well, and
I'm not touching that shit again.
Arachnophobia is better than this. What's the other movie he directed? There was like 3 in the 90s.
I don't know. Like he worked on Alive, but I don't remember if he directed it.
He did. Yeah, he directed Alive, which is okay. Stan Winston also did the effects for. Did he do dinosaurs, or am I misremembering?
Stan Winston did everything. He did Terminator. He did everything.
Yeah, but was he on the team for Jurassic Park?
Yeah. Right?
Okay.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stan Winston is definitely a positive. I was building up to a positive takeaway here, but yeah, that man did his job here. This is the little movie that could, and it had Jurassic Park ambitions draped in a B movie. We open with Bruce Campbell and another actor in the jungle looking for diamonds.
No, they're in the Congo.
They're in the Congo.
Is Congo a proper noun or an improper noun? Like, can you have a Congo anywhere, or is Congo specifically?
No, the Congo is that part. Yeah, the former nation of Zaire is now the Democratic Republic of Congo. There is a nation, a region of the world called the Congo.
Okay, because I watched the movie and I didn't really understand what was going on.
I was too young to understand, the contemporary politics of Central Africa when this came out.
This movie does not know them either. But
okay, that's good to know.
So the movie cost $50 million to make in 1995, and it grossed 152. I think that's domestic. I don't think Jurassic Park cost much more. I think Jurassic Park cost $63 million. Okay, so that's only like a fifth more, 20%, something like that more. Okay, broad strokes. I know you want to get into the plot of it, Ryan. The broad strokes are: it's a rescue mission to the Congo.
Joe Don Baker, runs a telecommunication he's a RoboCop villain, smashing TV monitors with his golf clubs, screaming, "I want my diamonds!"
By the way, I wish we had more sound effects buttons on our mixer, because I was going to put a diamond sound effect in this episode, because diamonds get referenced so frequently.
We go from, poor Bruce Campbell holding an eyeball covered in blood, screaming into the camera, Evil Dead style. We know exactly what we're getting into.
Yeah.
Cutting to Joe Don Baker saying, these diamonds are gonna, with enough diamonds, I can revolutionize the communications industry. Like, what on earth are you talking about?
Yeah, so for some reason, Bruce Campbell's in the middle of the Congo to find some diamonds. He gets killed by some ape that you barely get a good look at. And that's the opening 5 minutes of this movie. The movie becomes a rescue mission. And the first half of the movie is slowly assembling this cast of characters that are getting, they're all basically cartoons.
There's three motivations. It's too convoluted as to why these people are going to Africa. Laura Linney deserves so much better in this movie. She is an ex-CIA agent who now works for a telecommunications giant, getting diamonds in the jungle for their super satellites. And she is going undercover under the guise of a humanitarian mission to return a gorilla to the Congo.
You just nailed the elevator pitch, which we've been struggling for 10 minutes to get out of our mouths. That's it. Dylan,
but there's a lot of cross purposes going on here.
And the third, again, there's already two, and there should really be one. The third is the convoluted Romanian, philanthropist who is secretly looking for the lost city of Zinj in King Solomon's Mines, played by the true takeaway, the real runaway star here, Tim Curry.
Tim Curry plays Herkimer Homolka.
Yes. Herkimer is a type of diamond. That's the level of writing. So that's the level of writing we got here.
So basically, all these characters get together. They have like a shepherd, like someone that the satellite communications company pays a guide. He's like the best guide in the world. He's like the Indiana Jones for hire type.
Yeah.
And his name is Captain Monroe Kelly, played by Ernie Hudson. And
he's great.
Now,
so
before
good.
we get into Ernie Hudson,
okay,
we talked about Laura Linney. We talked about Tim Curry. The other major player here is Dylan Walsh, who plays Peter Elliott, the most like protagonist man-ass name I've ever heard. Peter Elliott is like an expert in sign language for animals. He taught an ape to speak through sign language using this
a power glove-like device.
Yeah, it's like this sensor glove that he puts on a gorilla, and as she signs, it says what she's trying to sign through a speaker.
Correct.
He calls it virtual reality, which it's not, but they had to mention virtual reality.
They had to
movie.
quickly explain what the hell was going on, right? So there's this. So joining these human beings is Amy the gorilla, who looks terrible.
She is so bad.
I'm so surprised how bad it looks for 1995 animatronics. Like it's so. There's a lot of animatronics in this movie.
During my research, I did do research. During my research for this recording, I was reminded, because I'd not confused, but confused and what's it called when I mix two thoughts? Conflate. I'd conflated the 1998 Disney Mighty Joe Young.
Yeah.
With, I believe, Charlize Theron and Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
And the whole oomph of the movie about the creature feature about a gorilla. It's Mighty Joe Young, the follow-up to King Kong. I looked up the 1949 Mighty Joe Young. It looks better than this movie.
I'm so this movie, again, $50 million. There was I don't know if you call it stunt casting, but Ernie Hudson. No, I guess Laura Linney was the biggest name in the movie, right? For 1995?
I'd say, yeah.
Maybe Ernie, because Ernie had done The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, and like Crow, and obviously Ghostbusters 1 and 2.
He was like a big character actor at that point.
Yeah. So the movie becomes like, they hire Monroe the guide using the money from the satellite communications company.
Right.
And the satellite company is sending Laura Linney to the Congo to rescue Bruce Campbell because they don't know if he's dead or not.
Correct.
But they're really sending Laura Linney to go get diamonds.
Get my diamonds.
Get your what?
Diamonds. Thank you.
We had to use the reverb function once.
Yeah, Dylan Walsh's character is a poor man's Jeff Bridges from the 1970s King Kong. He's totally like the big curly hair, hippy dippy, like, you know, everyone's kind of a criminal. Like, I'm not a criminal, I'm a good guy. Like, shut up. I think the writers here knew, I think that the filmmakers realized during production, Ernie Hudson's just so much fucking cooler than this guy.
Because I feel like when we talk about Ernie Hudson, it's going to be like this watershed thing. So I'm chomping at the bit to talk about him in this movie because I love him so much.
Let's talk about Dylan Walsh.
So but basically, so the satellite company hires Dylan Walsh, the guy who's teaching apes sign language through virtual reality power gloves. That's the movie we're working with here. They hire him because they claim they're being philanthropic. They're just throwing some money at him, like, oh, we just want to bring Amy the gorilla back into the Congo and release her there.
Well, initially, it gets so convoluted. Tim Curry's ridiculous. Well, mainly on
that comes later.
No, that comes first.
No, they pick up Laura Linney meets Dylan Walsh at like an airport or something.
But they do show him. He's in the audience.
Oh, he's there, but he doesn't.
Tim Curry's willing to finance the project as a philanthropist to bring the gorilla to the jungle.
Yeah.
They get to the airplane, and Tim Curry turns out is fucking broke.
Okay, you're right. Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay.
Laura Linney says, I want to piggyback on your mission, and he goes, no. And then he's like, I have it's $56,000 for fuel, and she's like, oh, looks like you need me.
Okay, yeah. So sorry. So that's why this whole team's there, but there's a bunch of ulterior motives. Dylan Walsh thinks this whole expedition is to release Amy back into the Congo, and we've already discussed the satellite company wants to go there to get diamonds to make more powerful satellites. And by the way, like a side effect of making these diamond-powered satellites, you get lasers that can cut through anything like a lightsaber.
Yes.
Like a gun that shoots a lightsaber, like a ray straight forward and will cut through anything, whatever you aim it at.
It's something that Bruce Campbell demonstrates at the beginning of the movie, and it's not mentioned again for a long time. It's such an obvious, like, I'm just going to set this down over here kind of.
It's a Chekhov's gun, but it's 100 minutes apart. Not even Chekhov's gun. It's just
Chekhov's laser.
So we're off to the races. Ernie Hudson has been hired as the guide, and they're going to go to the Congo, but they have to get through the dangers of Africa, and that eats up about 50 minutes of the movie. Should we just stop there with explaining the plot, or how do we want to keep going with that? Because
I think at this point it's more important, instead of like trudging through this plot the way this movie trudges through problems. To get to what matters, the creature feature. Let's talk about things that work and things that don't work.
So the creature feature aspect of this movie, which it was sold on, was like, oh, are apes kind of scary? Because even the posters, like the ape's eye, I think it's Amy's eye.
Where you are the endangered species.
Yeah, oh, that's the tagline?
That's the tagline.
Man, because we've talked about this before. We did a review of Ernest Goes to Africa, and Neil brought up there was Africa fever. In a pop culture term, was really big in the mid-90s. This movie came out a couple months before Ace Ventura 2 When Nature Calls, where he went to Africa. The Lion...
it's post... Lion King had come out.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a bunch of lesser-known ones. I feel like you can trace it back to The Gods Must Be Crazy, which were not big movies, but they were like sleeper hits.
What's that Richard Dreyfuss mid-90s movie where he pretends that he went to Africa?
Is that Kippendorf's tribe?
Something like that. I thought it was Trippendorf's tribe. I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember it. But yeah, there was a lot of that at the time. And I don't know, was this the biggest budget attempt at one of those movies?
Again, this is a B movie trying to like walk in the footsteps of Jurassic Park.
It shouldn't be a B movie though, like because it has the.
It's
resources.
Not a B movie. I think it's a big budget Hollywood movie trying to capture B movie charm and doing it really inconsistent.
I agree.
Why you get that's why Bruce Campbell is in this movie, but not in a significant way.
That's why Tim Curry's in this movie.
He was actually going to be Dylan Walsh's character. Why? And instead they cast a much more boring guy.
Why did they change? Do you have any idea why they changed him? Was it because Army of Darkness bombed or something? Like
it was probably just that he was too charismatic. I don't know.
But okay, So we'll get back to that Bruce Campbell casting decision later. Okay, so Ryan, you were saying creature feature. You only get evil gorillas at the end, and they are scary looking, right?
Stan Winston did a way better job with. I mean, these gorillas are the action figures we're gonna sell. These are the thing of the movie. That Joe Don Baker's character says, "No, gorillas don't do that. They're gentle." And we spent a lot of time with Dr. Milkwater saying, like, yeah, enough of the myths of the killer gorilla, the King Kong. It's not real. And then later, when they're talking to an African warlord saying, "My people are more scared of being seen being cruel to a gorilla by in an American movie than a lot of other dangerous things these days." Like, everyone knows that gorillas aren't dangerous. Gorillas are okay. It's time to get rid of this. I don't know. They have pitting up this straw man argument that gorillas have such a bad rap.
Yeah, they treat them like great white sharks. Like, great white sharks aren't actually that dangerous. Like, that's actually something that is a real problem in the world. But, like, the idea of, like, there's killer apes everywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, that's interesting that this movie tries to have it both ways. You know? It's like,
it really does, and it starts an argument no one was having.
Yeah,
I know. It's like maybe the movie Congo already came out in the universe of this movie,
and this is
really damaged the reputation of gorillas.
This could be its own podcast, but there is a lot to be said rewatching this film in the year 2020. Multiple characters and multiple scenes put a lot of effort. This film spends time demystifying the violence and frighteningness of apes on film. They spend more time making the audience sympathetic to gorillas than to humans in Africa. They
100%,
make Africa look, the second you get off the plane, shit blows up.
Now, there's
Right.
other creatures in this movie. There's Amy, who's like the benevolent sign language gorilla, who is done through a mix of animatronics and a person in a suit. There's these creepy evil apes at the end. These white apes with like blue skin and white hair,
Mangled teeth and claws.
Yeah.
They look, again, they're the best part of the movie.
Yeah, they look like they were like a crossbreed between like a gorilla and like the Crypt Keeper. They're scary looking. I'll give them that. Right. I think those were effective. Right. I think those stick out. Those are definitely the standout. It's the standout set piece of the movie for a reason. But they're in the movie very briefly. And there's these hippos at one point.
The hippo scene is this movie's equivalent of "Don't go into the long grass." This is like by the way, this is a really Lost World's a creature feature about a T-Rex, but don't forget, raptors are fucking awesome. That they go like, Stan Winston put a lot of effort into this brief but well done scene of being attacked by hippos.
The hippos look good. Yeah.
Yeah, in the
hippos
river.
look very, very real. Yeah.
And this is a myth because it's not a myth. It's just facts. Hippos are horrible pieces of shit. Hippos eat their own babies when they're not even hungry. They're not even starving. Hippos are monstrous creatures. And I want them all dead. I want them all dead. I don't care if they go extinct. It'll be a holiday.
This is why Ryan wanted to talk about Congo.
I don't like hippos.
This has to enter the
kill
public conscience.
A lot of people.
This scene was funny to me though, because I know intellectually, hippos are very dangerous. Getting attacked by a hippo would, you're not likely to survive. And the hippo is effectively done, and the scene is shot pretty well. But the whole time I was just like, hippos, they're funny looking. Man, those are some
they look like
hungry
Barney. They're
hippos.
pink.
Yeah.
So is that it for the creatures? Am I forgetting anything else major? There's probably other like.
There's like a smallish snake at one point.
Oh yeah,
There's a snake.
There's that really. Yeah, there's that scene where what's his name stabs the snake. He kills a snake. That's what's his name? I forget the name of the character. It's like some like henchman-esque guy helping out Ernie Hudson, and a snake kind of creeps up on him, but it's like a small snake. It's like a garter snake. And he looks over, and the snake hisses at him, and it's clearly an ADR to hiss. It just doesn't sound... It sounds like a cartoon snake. Yeah, and he cuts the thing in half. There's some really silly ADR in this movie, some really silly sound editing. Did you guys catch when Dylan Walsh, Peter Elliott, the scientist, has to burn the leech off his penis? Do you guys remember that? Do you remember that moment?
Oh yeah, he uses a small cigar.
Yeah, but did you hear the leech like scream in pain?
I just heard a little sizzle effect, but yeah.
If you listen closely, you hear like a. I'm not making this up.
For listeners at home, you don't like see a leech on his penis or anything. It's just like, oh, there's a leech on my, and you know, it's all off camera.
Yeah.
It's played for laughs.
Yeah. So like a lot of this movie is spent just getting from point A to point B, which is getting to the Congo. And it takes like an hour of the movie, right, Ryan?
Yeah, if you were to like sit there with a timer, clock in, clock out, the vast majority of threats that they face are man-made.
Yeah.
The airport's dangerous. Africa is a death trap. Yeah. Everyone wants to murder you.
Africa isn't man-made.
Well, no, the people, the soldiers, flare gun shooting. All right, There's moments in this movie like Stan Winston effects, like helicopter shots that feel like an Indiana Jones movie, like an adventure movie.
Yeah.
Like big sweeping vistas, filming on location. You can see where the money went. And then you see Dylan Walsh sitting on this majestic, overlooking like the mist clearing out over this jungle in between the mountains, next to this fucking little girl in a gorilla suit, and you go like, "Cut, guys! This is gonna look fucking awful when I'm done." Like honestly,
$50 million.
It's just gonna look terrible. Like no, go back. It looks good.
I'm so surprised. Like, so Amy, not to dwell too much on Amy, but man, like her mouth doesn't move really. Like there's like there's a lack of articulation when she's eating. It just looks like it's like it should be like a background gorilla.
Oh, from what I read in the IMDb trivia, Stan Winston was proud of the Amy head, I guess, because it was the first time they were able to do a character like that only required one head for all the mouth shapes that they wanted to do, I think. Aside from like one shot where its mouth is open wide and screaming.
Yeah.
So normally they would have to build multiple heads, one for eating, one for, smiling.
But shows.
So I think this was an early attempt to do it all with one, animatronic. And
ambitious, noble as an ambitious effort is, this is a Michael Crichton creature feature right off Jurassic Park.
1995.
That's the love. That is the bar, and they just whacked into it with their nuts.
And
they did
she's all over the movie too. It's not like she's in like one scene. Like she's like, in a weird way. I don't know if it was like in the script and on set, and they just changed it in editing for reasons that you alluded to earlier, Ryan. It seemed like Amy was supposed to be the heart of this movie.
Oh yeah.
And then in post, I think they looked at like Ernie Hudson and Tim Curry, and we're like, oh, wait a minute, this is the good stuff, right? Because I know Ryan really wanted to like talk about the positives of the movie, but I guess, the creature feature stuff is fun. The music's hit and miss, right? Like some of the, Neil, what's the instrument that everyone uses to illustrate we're in Africa? It's like a pipe flute or something. It's bad.
The music is by Jerry Goldsmith. And it's your typical 90s like fake African cinematic music.
And I wouldn't even consider it to be insulting or pandering. It's honestly trying. And I'm looking at this from the lens of almost 30 years later of this is also right off the heels of Jurassic Park, but it's also right off the heels of The Lion King. Yeah. You see the giraffes on the Serengeti with those wide open shots where, by the way, this film does not take place in the Serengeti. It's in the Congo. Because it's not the same place, but it's they're trying. There's moments here where the music really works, and it's funny. Rewatching this movie, I'd also conflated in my mind the soundtrack for another hot mess, Waterworld. I'm going like, I remember like the Waterworld thing. Like, nope, that's a different movie.
Yeah.
That music is too good for that movie. The same way that in the airplane scene when they all have to shoot the bazooka rockets with the flare guns. Which
that was kind of cool.
That would never fucking work in real life. But
I know.
None of that matters. This is awesome. This is such a fun scene.
That was a cool scene. Yeah.
What's really funny is Laura Linney does it. She takes out a flare gun. She shoots down like the anti-aircraft rocket, hits it dead on. And it's not even like, it looks like, there's an arc to it, and it hits the arc of the rocket in a way that just looks, wow, that's really hard. Like that's incredible that she did that. Well, then Ernie Hudson just kind of sidles up to her. He's like, hey, can I try? And then he does it too.
Well, because the idea is supposed to be that these are heat seeking and they're going towards the flares, right?
Right.
But the effect is illustrated in a weird way. There's a lot of things that blow up in midair in this movie that when they blow up, there's no momentum. They just kind of like, you'll see a plane flying at like 200 miles an hour, because that's minimum, right? And then it gets hit by a rocket, and then it just kind of like stops in midair and explodes.
Yeah.
Like the shrapnel doesn't have any inertia. It doesn't move. Like, I know I'm being very nitpicky, but this is 1995. Like Jurassic Park had come out, Terminator 2, 3 Die Hard movies were out by this point.
We forgive things like that in an Indiana Jones movie because it's supposed to kind of feel like an older thing.
And the tone of this movie, as Neil mentioned earlier, is so all over the place that it's really hard to like forgive that kind of thing because it's clearly aspiring to be like a big budget blockbuster, and it throws back in weird ways.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is trying to be like a rollicking pulp adventure like Indiana Jones.
Totally,
That's why they got Frank Marshall directing it.
Yeah.
With a little bit of the creature feature, Stan Winston stuff. But it's just, it doesn't have, the sense of like heart that, or like, excitement that Spielberg would give it. And it doesn't really have the the right tone of schlock to justify putting Bruce Campbell in it and like
it's a hot
eyeballs
mess.
and stuff.
It's weird because it opens as a very PG-13 film, and then like out of nowhere there's like a bunch of F-bombs dropped at one point.
Yeah.
like half an hour in, it just suddenly, is this R-rated? I don't know, like I can't it just suddenly felt like an R-rated movie in 2 or 3 key scenes. We're looking this up now in real time. Sorry to make you wait. Did anyone find what it was rated?
I'm not looking.
Oh, I thought Ryan was. Hold on, let me look it up. Sorry. I wish we had like some Jeopardy music.
Well, I can tell you the story about some kids.
Oh, it is
seeing this
PG-13.
movie.
It is PG-13.
Yeah.
It's like so. What about? Go for it, Neil.
Well, yeah, I do have a story from my wife Ming.
Oh yeah.
When she was, I guess, like 11 or 12 or something, and this movie was in theaters, she took her friend to see it. And it's kind of a scary movie. Her friend went home and had nightmares about the movie.
As you would.
Yeah.
Kids do that.
Yeah, Ming wasn't bothered, but it's they're young. The friend's mother calls Ming's house. Ming picks up. She's a little girl, and this woman like is cussing and screaming at Ming.
A child.
Just in a child, yeah. Just like you gave my child nightmares. You took her to see a horror movie. And this movie, it's scary, but it's not
a
a
PG-13 movie about apes that get killed with lasers. Come on. Like, I've heard stories like this before from friends about like showing someone Batman Returns, and then a parent walking in the room be like, this is a pornographic movie. This is smut. That's an S&M, because it looks like it. Let's be honest. I got yelled at for showing someone Evil Dead 2, but we were like 14 or something. Like,
Here's the correct way to do this, whether it was the 90s, 2000s, or today. I'd like to speak to your mother or father.
Bingo.
Exactly.
An adult.
Be a parent. Yeah, don't scream at a kid like they had ultimate agency. So, okay, we put it off long enough. This movie is kind of fun, but the 2 ingredients that stand well above the rest of this movie. Forget about the diamonds. Forget about the Stan Winston killer monkeys and all that. Holy crap! Tim Curry and Ernie Hudson showed up for a different movie, and the first half an hour of this movie just drags. The first half an hour is, you're like, really? This is $50 million. This is supposed to compete with Jurassic Park, and then Tim Curry starts talking. And he's kind of in the background of the movie, right? You forget Tim Curry's there, right? Like, doesn't he have like 10
He's
lines?
just an audience member, but the audience, he's a famous actor. Like, oh, I wonder what role he'll end up playing.
And he barely speaks, right? He's like barely in the movie. Like, I don't know. Like, Neil, did you kind of forget Tim Curry was in the movie by the ending?
No, I remember Tim Curry was in. Well, yeah, I mean, he's not the lead villain in the movie. I forgot like, the twists of his character. So as soon as you see him, I thought like, oh, he's the villain. He's going to be secretly evil. Yeah. Because it starts with him like watching Amy on stage talk, and then he looks down at like some piece of jewelry with an eye, and he smiles like this big evil smile.
Well, he's Tim Curry. He can't help but look evil when he smiles. That's his
he
thing.
Does. In the end, it turns out he's just kind of like
schmo.
He's he wants some diamonds and to get rich, but he's just like chasing an old legend.
Yeah,
he's a fucking hack. He tried it before and everyone died. Except there's like, they ran out of food and water, and then another guy got shot, and he claims the suicide, which no one believes. As a matter of fact, there's actually one moment here because Tim Curry is such a Disney villain level like ridiculous character here. Like he's like hovering or shaking in his tent because he's scared of all the scary stuff, and he needs to be pushed out the airplane because he's a coward.
Oh, that's a great line.
And then he nearly drops an N-bomb at Ernie Hudson. He comes like, "You fucking," is like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, excuse me."
Yeah.
I heard the letter M. Not
Me
an
too.
N.
Me too. So I wonder if they changed it in post. Because
I
like,
hope, yeah.
well, I can't tell. Because what would M have been? Would he have called him like a monster,
There's a few
monkey? Like I'm trying to think of what it could have been. But I wonder if they changed it because that, dropping like an N-bomb would have been like.
I can see Tim Curry just not even wanting to like say the first letter.
Yeah, I could see that.
Tim Curry.
But let's talk about his
think-
accent a little.
Yeah, I think his prep work for this was, so you're from Romania, right? What does that sound like? This is what it sounds like to me. Like, did you consult a vocal coach? No. Yeah, because in my experience, people's takeaway from this, when you ask them like, "Oh, I saw that movie 20 years ago, and I remember the mean apes, lasers, and like toys," and Tim Curry talked like this person that doesn't exist.
He talks like a villain in a video game. Like
he's a Bond villain.
Yeah.
He's totally a James Bond villain.
Herkimer Homolka. Just say that.
Herkimer Homokola.
He probably came up with an accent that made that name impossible to say.
Well, you know what? It's kind of close. I know I really hope you've seen the clip of him saying, "I'm going to escape to the one place that capitalism has not corrupted."
Space.
So he's having fun.
He's having fun. He gets to do his communist voice, and he's
I hope that if the director's like, "Mr. Curry, can you come here a minute? Listen, are you sure that's the way you want to deliver these lines?" Yes. Like, there's no discussion.
I'm saving your film.
This is what you're getting.
So he's underused, I think.
sure, yeah.
And I think Laura Linney's character, Karen Ross. So one thing I do appreciate about the movie, and you just reminded me, Ryan. So Tim Curry doesn't become the obvious villain. And I assumed Dylan Walsh and Laura Linney were going to like get romantically involved by the end of the movie. You just assume it, right?
Yeah.
Like handsome guy, pretty, beautiful woman. They're the same age. They're gonna hook up, right? And they don't really, right?
Yeah, that's true. They do the little like fight at when they first meet. There's some tension.
But that's it. Like they just don't like each other. Like they don't really like they don't like become romantically involved by the end.
No, his
it's
heart belongs
actually
to Amy.
What's that?
His heart belongs to Amy.
Yep. And her heart belongs to Bruce Campbell's
CIA.
corpse, which shows up at the end, and it looks real bad, so you don't get a good look. It looks so bad.
Can I tell you, in my memory, like he was like all like mangled and like a skull.
It looks like a dummy from a haunted house.
It probably is.
And it's like, how you couldn't get like Bruce Campbell to like lay on the ground looking dead. Like there's how many dummies of Bruce Campbell corpses must exist in some warehouse?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Raimi's got them all.
Raimi's like, oh, you want one? $80,000 a day.
But Bruce Campbell will do it. He'll lie there. He'll do anything.
Yeah. So, all right, Ernie Hudson. Okay, so he shows up like half an hour into the movie. Captain Monroe Kelly.
Yes.
As unused as Tim Curry is, Ernie Hudson, man, every second he's in this movie, he just elevates it. I think he brings his whole movie up a letter grade.
He makes a good impression. I had to look up his height because he just towers above everyone.
He's really tall.
He's really big, yeah.
He is, but I don't remember like feeling that in like the Ghostbusters.
Well, the thing with Ghostbusters is they're all over 6 feet tall.
Yeah,
people forget
that's it,
that.
yeah.
Like Bill Murray's like 6'3" or something. But he
Why?
What?
Why?
Well, who did that to him? So Monroe Kelly, who's like the closest thing to like a swashbuckling Indiana Jones type in this movie, every line of his is gold. I mean, like every line he just relishes. He has this great accent. He's seen it all. He's done it all. It's an inspired performance. Like he clearly thought through this character. He's not just character acting. I mean, there's a lot of that. Like he's somewhere in the middle of like a Jurassic Park character and what Tim Curry's doing, you know?
I feel like, I think he's going a little bit more for like the Quint role.
Oh
of
yeah.
this
Oh
movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or Muldoon in Jurassic Park. He's just too cool for this. You want him, you really want him to make it. I would argue more than Dylan Walsh's character. He's just so much. Again, Dylan Walsh, just to me, rewatching this made me think of just a really poor man's version of Jeff Bridges from the 70s King Kong. Like, I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it for the science. And by science, I mean, I'm going to introduce an ape back to the Congo and have no way of observing it from this point on, because these plot holes you can drive a truck through.
The first time Amy sees another gorilla, she's wearing like this, RoboCop gizmo on her arm and face and stuff. And you clearly have a moment where it's just like, they're going to kill her.
Yeah, they try for a moment of it's sad. She doesn't belong in either the gorilla world or the world of man. And like, listen, that's not what this movie's about.
This isn't going to play.
Just keep moving.
So, oh my God. So like, there's like a scene early on when you first really get to meet Monroe, and they're in the back of a car, like a big truck leaving an airport. And it's like when they really give Ernie like a ton of lines, like to kind of like sell, who is this guy? Why is he the expert? And he kind of sees through everybody. And he has like every line he gives is like delivered in a way that they could put it in the trailer.
Exactly. Yep.
But I kind of loved that. Like he kind of figures out real quick, like, okay, this person has an ulterior motive. They have a ton of money. Like, they're clearly not giving me money to deliver a damn monkey to the Congo. And he says something to Dylan Walsh's character, and I'm paraphrasing, but he says, like, rest easy. You're getting better treatment than you deserve, or you have a better guide than you deserve.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hudson in this movie, right around when he showed up was when it dawned on me there are too many characters in this movie. And they probably could have consolidated Laura Linney and Dylan Walsh, maybe. Like, I don't know. Like, there's just one too many, because if there was more elbow room for Tim Curry shenanigans, right? Like, if Tim Curry got the same amount of screen time as Ernie Hudson, and we got a little less of, like, the Amy stuff or whatever, which I guess just has to be there. I don't know. I think like this posse of characters would have worked a lot better, because once Ernie Hudson shows up, the chemistry of the movie works way better, I think. Yeah,
I think that they have Tim Curry in. Again, he's almost certainly in the book, so they just have to include another guy. They can't just maybe cutting him out would just, they thought it would be too thin a plot to rework. They would be wrong. Is that his being like the deceptive, speaks with accent like a Russian Bond villain, humanizes Laura Linney, who's here for a telecommunications giant that is lying to the good guys. It makes her seem like the lesser of two. You forget that, like, oh yeah, you may work for Joe Don Baker and the bad guys, but you're good at heart, the ex-CIA agent looking for lasers to kill monkeys. So fucking ridiculous.
Why did she leave the CIA? It was just like,
they were too mean.
Yeah, they were bastards.
Yeah, they were bastards. Okay, so I found the Monroe line I love. So they're in the back of the car driving, and Monroe looks over to Peter Elliott. And Peter Elliott's like freaking out because he's starting to realize that like something's up here. Like, this doesn't make sense to me.
Ernie Hudson's character literally just hijacked the truck.
He just stole the truck at gunpoint
after a bomb went off that was supposed to kill the president. Like, there's no reason to be here on a science mission. We should fucking leave.
So at one point, Monroe says, "This is cover for something I don't know, and she won't tell you. But the kind of money her company's throwing around, they don't spend that in any gorilla. Relax. You're in better hands than you should be." And just like you can't like read these lines and not hear him saying it. Like, he has like this cadence to every line, and this perfect accent, and just this swagger to him. I was so glad he didn't get killed. Like, I was waiting for, have either of you seen Leviathan?
No.
Yes.
That movie sucks. And that movie sucks for a few reasons. It's an underwater aliens ripoff, and there's like 5 of them by now. But this was like the first one. Like, underwater.
They all came out in 1989. That's when the cameras were developed, basically.
Yeah, and Ernie Hudson's in it. So is Peter Weller and Daniel Stern and a few other good people. But Ernie Hudson is woefully underused in that movie. And spoilers, they kill him in like the last literally 60 seconds of the movie. Like,
oh yeah,
oh, by the way, we got to kill Ernie Hudson. Like, it was like so, it's so needless, and it's a really it's a bad action scene. Like, I don't know. So like in this movie, I was just like expecting to have that happen again. I was expecting for like I don't know, like Tim Curry to get a laser and kill Ernie Hudson or something. And it didn't happen. Like Monroe gets to just be like this badass the whole movie. And I don't know. He did nothing but elevate the material for me. And
No, actually, yeah, Tim Curry gets that treatment. You know, he's too greedy. He literally fills his arms up with diamonds and then gets smashed.
yeah, what he walks up to Monroe and says, "You've got to get me out of here." And Monroe says, "Take a number." I don't know. I mean, obviously, like Ernie Hudson's like a childhood hero of mine. I'm always excited to see him pop up in movies. But yeah, man, I genuinely think he is the best part of the movie. Is it fair to say?
I'm gonna get yes. He as far as the actors go, as much as Tim Curry's cartoonishness is fun, Ernie Hudson's the coolest fucking guy in this movie.
What do you think, Neil? What's the best part of the movie?
I'd give it to Ernie.
It's definitely not Amy or the hippos.
Brief shout out to Joe Pantoliano and his cipher from The
uncredited.
Matrix.
Uncredited.
Yeah,
He didn't like how this movie came out.
it doesn't say why in IMDb's trivia why he's uncredited. He's only in the movie for one scene. He's driving them
scenes.
around.
2 scenes. Because he disappears and then he pops up like 5 minutes later and like, hey, it's that guy again. Like they needed to.
he's Eddie.
Yeah, right. Just 1, 2, just like Dylan Walsh's Dr. Peter Elliott, the character's dumb, like coward friend who exists only to try to make him look cooler.
Yep.
Played by Grant Heslov, named just Richard. He's so fucking lame. He doesn't even get a last name. Richard's like, I don't like jungles or snakes or animals. Like, why are you a primatologist?
Yeah.
What
Why do you do this?
I was like, oh, we're gonna bring her back to the jungle. Like, hey, here's a thought, Richard, don't go.
What is there anything left to say about Congo? Like, I mean, like it is.
The scene where they find a survivor of the initial guerrilla attack, and
Please continue.
He's
Neil.
being tended to, or there's a ritual going on by they made up a tribe. For
He's
this movie.
comatose. Yeah.
Yeah, and they find him, and he sees Amy, and he screams and dies.
Which might work in a book.
Yeah,
I guess it's really funny. Poor little
He's
Amy is
really-
just like, hey, and scares him to death.
That guy
to death. Yes.
This movie reminds me of Anaconda at a few points, because the score is similar. I like Anaconda more.
I kind of conflated Tim Curry and John Voight sometimes. I forget
Anaconda's-
which movie has which.
Anaconda's better. Congo
Yeah.
would have done better to steer itself to feel more like Anaconda. Like, Anaconda has a lot of similarities, but yeah, this was just part of that whole like mid-90s monster movie thing.
It was like I'd put it. I guess Jurassic Park. It's on the Twister Jurassic Park spectrum.
Yes.
Of like natural disasters and just meddling with animals.
Yeah.
I guess it's, if you want to get like theoretical about it, it's like a post James Bond thing. The USSR has dissolved, so who's the enemy now? Well, it's the Earth itself.
It's apes.
Yeah.
What's worse than a Russian? A fucking ape.
Apes.
I mean, any more parting thoughts, Ryan, about Congo? I mean, Congo,
Well,
this was
let
your
me-
baby. You really wanted to do a Congo episode, and I hope we're giving it to you.
Well, no, this is good because it's just from that weird moment post Jurassic Park of The Relic and The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah.
And yeah, the movie we discussed a little bit before this, that was a much more serious film.
Yeah.
The Ghost in the Darkness with Michael Douglas and Val Kilmer, who was also in Moreau. That practical effects sometimes. Yeah, burgeoning CGI. They're a certain brand of creature feature that we're never going to see again because the level of production value, you would either like do it right or it would be straight up Sci-Fi Channel original crap. My last thoughts of again, it is not a compare. This recording is not a compare and contrast to Jurassic Park, but for God's sake, movies like The Island of Dr. Moreau and an R-rated horror film about a killer lion co-starring Michael Douglas. These are movies that don't have action figure lines.
Yeah.
In my research of this movie, going back in time, I found a lot of really weird footage and gameplay from the Sega Saturn game.
Oh yeah,
with live,
it's like a multimedia game.
Yep, it felt like the original Resident Evil with the the actual filmed scenes of the actors and these hokey things.
Yeah.
I found that ridiculous volcano taco commercial from Taco Bell.
There's a very, very awkward Taco Bell product placement early in this movie.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Also, there's a volcano in this movie that goes off.
That's why there's this
unrelated. They're not there because a volcano's about to go off. The volcano happens to go off while they're having their adventure. It's crazy.
Like video game logic. Like, listen, you just can't wait around too long. Like, no matter how many apes you do or do not laser kill, the place is gonna blow. And also means that no one will believe you. No one will believe your story because it's all blown up.
Oh, by the way, Laura Linney builds a laser gun to kill the killer apes at the end.
She puts one of the diamonds from Solomon's Lost Mine into this laser gun. And she disintegrates a bunch of the gorillas.
It's what everyone remembers from this fucking movie. It's such a
great.
startling.
I love seeing Laura Linney of all people wield a laser.
It's like such a startling image. Like just these it's like it looks like they're on fucking Mars. Like all the red, right? Like
in the mines, and she has this witty one-liner of put them on the endangered species list before she re-diamonds her laser. Then. Yeah, but all right. There's a couple of things here, but a takeaway I want to get for those of you thinking about rewatching this movie and refreshing your memory
for whatever reason.
Don't leave it as a memory.
Yeah.
It's scarier. I'm sure it's more fun. It's more exciting. Maybe it's a movie you used to watch when you would stay home from sick in elementary school or however old you were when this film came out.
Yeah.
If you weren't alive when this film came out, I don't even know what to tell you. But actually, that's not true. I know exactly what to tell you. Save yourself a lot of time. Go on YouTube. And there's a 33-second commercial in which a man and a woman are in the jungle with Amy. It is not Dylan Walsh's character, Dr. Peter Elliott. It is not Dr. Karen Ross, portrayed by Laura Linney. It's just two people and their kid, because there's a kid here now. Because, again, this movie's for Taco Bell Happy Meals and toys you can buy at Toys R Us.
Yeah.
In which the man and the woman, because they couldn't get the real actors, are trying to do sign language to figure out from Amy what Amy wants, and the kid figures out it's a Pepsi, and it's a 33-second Pepsi commercial
because Pepsi owns Taco Bell.
And Amy cracks open the Pepsi, and how does it tag? Yeah, nothing else is a Pepsi. It's clearly.
Do you hear Amy's robot voice?
Yeah, maybe. Again, I'm not going to play it right now.
I don't know.
But they're trying to sign with Amy, but only the kid's like, what does the gorilla want? Like, it's Pepsi. This does not encapsulate why would a movie like this be doing tie-ins for toys and Pepsi?
$50 million in PG-13.
Bingo.
That's the formula.
Bingo.
How about this? So instead of watching Congo, what's another 90s monster movie or creature feature or disaster film you would recommend? I think we should all pick one. I'll go with a movie I recently reviewed on a friend's podcast, the VHS Bandits. We watched Deep Rising, a Stephen Sommers film. It's wonderful. It's a throwback swashbuckling movie like Congo, but it succeeds more than it fails. It's got a sea monster thing going on with it, which is fun. It's got some dodgy CG, but it's well worth it. I think it's a lot of fun, made by the people that would go on to make The Mummy. Yeah, so I would recommend Deep Rising.
I've never seen that one, actually.
I got the Blu-ray if you want to borrow it.
Oh, cool.
I don't really have I kind of feel like this kind of movie wasn't that good by the mid-90s.
Yeah.
It kind of had lost its luster. I think it worked better.
Well,
I think
Anaconda's
the last
good.
time it worked really great was Jurassic Park.
Sure.
And I don't know, just that kind of genre horror was a little bit more potent in, the 80s.
So nothing.
My money's on the island of the 1996, The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Val Kilmer one?
Of course.
Yeah, him and Marlon. This feels like a fever dream.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre. Professor Lupin just can't wait to get the fuck off this island. He's never comfortable for a minute.
Yeah.
You see, you'd never have Marlon Brando all caked up in white makeup, cracking a Pepsi. Like, this is not the kind of movie this was.
Alfred did it with a Diet Coke, right?
yeah,
for the
he
Tim
did.
Burton Batman movie.
But those
the
are
first one.
supposed to be, those
Yeah,
are.
but it's Batman. And Alfred
I
would drink
have a
Diet Coke.
couple stray notes for the movie though that we didn't really touch on.
Sure.
One is in Amy's like habitat, they have Doom running. They have a game of Doom.
Yeah.
I liked that.
Yep.
The Jimmy Buffett plays a pilot.
What? I did not recognize him. That's cool.
I didn't catch him. He's not a memorable looking person, but yeah,
Surprised he
one of
didn't
the
make it-
pilots.
yeah.
And the last one is, according to IMDb, director Frank Marshall's nickname is Dr. Fantasy.
Thank you for sharing that. That's great.
Aren't nicknames supposed to have like less syllables than your regular? Dr. Fantasy is like a friggin'
I don't know enough about him as an individual, as in like his personal life, but I can just imagine a grown man very angry stating, "Do you know who you're talking to? I'm Dr. Fantasy."
Get the hell off my
I
set.
directed a live, not a fantasy.
Hey, this is Dr. Fantasy you're talking to. I'm done.
Yeah, that's a radio DJ.
Yeah. That's like Wolfman Jack would say.
Before we move past the wonderful world of Congo, did anyone else? I messaged the group yesterday about if you were to come up with a sequel to Congo, a film that merits no sequel, what would it be and why?
Okay, so if you make a sequel to Congo, what does it have to have? Does it have to have more killer apes, or is it just another Africa adventure movie?
I got it. Joe Don Baker comes back.
Yes.
He inspired by he's inspired by his failure, and he decides, I'm gonna go get those apes and I'm gonna bring them back to America, and I'm gonna
Open a theme
use
park.
these dangerous gorillas to, I don't know,
Build satellites for free.
yeah, or just, I don't know, he's gonna use them for nefarious purposes, sort of like how the military wanted the dinosaurs in Jurassic World.
Yep.
Which you could have seen coming from years away. Like, they're going to make another Jurassic Park movie. Oh, is it going to be about, like, weaponizing the dinosaurs? Yep.
No,
Ding, ding, ding.
yeah.
Yeah. So you get way more Joe Don Baker in this sequel. He's the lead villain and his army of gorillas.
Yeah.
And I don't know. He's attacking, it's bring it to the home front,
Is Amy in the movie? Does she show up, like, at the end of Act 2 and, like, save them? Or no Amy?
Amy's back for some reason.
Yeah.
It's never explained.
She's out of gorilla retirement.
Is Amy, like, a mom?
It just didn't work out in the Congo.
It didn't work out with the silverback?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Is there a dream sequence with Bruce Campbell? Like, maybe the movie's about Laura Linney falling in love with Dylan Walsh, and, like, she's conflicted, so she has to have a dream early on where Bruce Campbell returns and says it's okay.
No, what you do is you get him back playing a different role. Because who gives a shit?
He's like a sea captain. Like,
yeah, it's
Neil,
like
I
in
would watch
Spider-Man.
this.
He's always a different guy. Yeah.
yeah.
I would watch this film. Thank you.
And we're just going, I mean, Tim Curry, does he have like a twin brother? Just no Tim Curry.
Oh no, he survived.
He survived, and now he's got like a wooden leg.
They crush his head in the movie, but yeah, he survived.
He's got a wooden leg, and he's got a diamond in his eye.
He's he's just he's
That's it. I've got
Long
it.
John Silver.
I've got it.
And a diamond.
He's got an eye patch for the movie, and then at one key moment when you realize he's with the bad guys. He's one of the bad guys. He pulls up the eye patch, and he has a diamond in the eye. And Laura Linney like takes it out and uses it to make another laser gun. And Ernie Hudson's just in every
Not
scene.
in it.
What? Yeah, they'd screw.
doesn't come back.
They'd
He's
screw
above
that
it.
up. They'd screw it up. Yeah. God, that would
Thank you for sharing, Neil.
That would really
This
piss
is-
me off. This
Kevin,
hypothetical.
That's how it goes
sequel.
with sequels.
Yeah, they never get the. Well, yeah. They'd model after Jurassic Park and be like, you don't need all of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kevin, any thoughts on money doesn't matter, reality doesn't matter, your hypothetical?
Oh, I have to come up with my own sequel.
If not, I have an idea to just Neil, yours is well grounded in reality.
Yeah, Neil's would happen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I would like to see. I'll give you some time to gather your thoughts, and you'll see what I'm going in a slightly different direction.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a few years later, and Dylan Walsh is still portraying Dr. Peter Elliott. They could not afford Laura Linney. She is too good for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Ernie Hudson died off screen. And there's like a candle. We do a slow pan into a framed picture of just him by himself, not like him like at a bar hanging out with them as friends together. Just him to establish Ernie Hudson's still in this, but we can't afford him.
Yeah.
In a very Lost World scenario, Joe Don Baker on his deathbed repents and asks Dr. Peter Elliott to go back to the Congo, bring Amy out of guerrilla retirement because there's a Site B. There's another mine of King Solomon.
Yeah.
And only Amy can find she's a diamond-seeking gorilla. And it's like, it's basically Weekend at Bernie's too, except only she knows how to get to the other diamonds.
Yeah.
When they get there, they find, yes, much like Neil's idea, Tim Curry has survived because of the healing property of the diamonds.
Oh, there's magic in this sequence, right?
And much like the way that Gary Oldman's character became very spider-like in Lost in Space, and by the future is, more machine now than man, twisted and evil. Yes, Tim Curry has diamonds for eyes and a diamond constructed body, and his catchphrase now in his accent is "Diamonds are forever." And he has declared himself the new King Solomon over the 8 people.
I can't follow this. You have a perfect one, and I was trying to like yes and Neil's and like give them like layups and like ask the big questions.
The point, it doesn't really matter how they get out of the mine. It doesn't matter where they go from here. The point is that there's a big twist before the end where Dylan Walsh uses satellite phone to video chat with Joe Don Baker, only for him to pull off his human mask to reveal he too is one of the killer apes, and he was behind it all along.
Is there a smart ape?
There's a smart ape now. Yes.
Oh, like one of the killer apes got the technology from Amy, and he says like bad stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
He just swears. But like,
Amy, bad gorilla.
so okay, the best I could cook up. You two are going to do laps around this. Is Joe Don Baker's satellite company sees the potential of not. They're like, hey, why do we got to keep going to the Congo to get these diamonds? Let's grow our own diamonds. So they try to crossbreed animals from the Congo with diamond DNA because it's a bad movie.
Yep, that's good.
So it would have come out in 1997, late 97. It's Christmas 1997. This movie comes out, but it takes place in 2002. And it's predominantly in, I don't know, where was the satellite company based out of? New York, L.A., D.C.? Where was it?
Warm. I want to say LA, California.
Albuquerque.
It's Albuquerque. It's in some major metropolitan area. And at one point, the crossbred animals break out of their zoo, right? And they all have like laser appendages of some sorts that are a result of trying to crossbreed them with diamond DNA. So you have like these giant hippos running downtown, knocking over cars, and the cops show up, and then the hippos open their mouths, and a fucking laser comes out the back of its throat. And there's only one man who can stop it, and it's Ernie Hudson. And Ernie Hudson has some line about like, you can take the man out of the Congo, but you can't take the Congo out of the man, as you know. And there's no Dylan, what's his name in the movie, because who cares? Amy gets referenced at one point as the key. But when they finally get back to Amy, it turns out she died years ago giving birth, because they write out every female character, including the ape, for the second one, so they can write in new, sexier female characters. Like there's like a babe in the. It's Halle Berry. Halle Berry's the babe of the movie. She's from the Congo, but she only had like a week to prepare, so her accent's really bad. There's a benevolent girl ape that isn't Amy, but it's just like the worst.
Learned sign language before Amy died, so the experiment was a success.
Yeah.
No, she was born with language. She inherited it.
Yeah, she was through her genes. Because this movie really leans into like DNA and genes and evolution, because they're like, we got to put way more Jurassic Park in this one. But this ape is way sexier. and it's like clearly just somebody in a suit. And and there's a scene in the movie where they dress up the ape in human clothes to like fool some security guards so they can get the
Like
key
Honey,
card.
I Blew Up the Kids.
Yeah, and every other bad movie made around then.
Ooh, can the new Amy have like a ragtag group of action figures the kids can buy? I
Yes.
mean, other characters.
Yes. And there has to be CG in the movie, so there's really bad CG. Ernie Hudson gets like one cool action scene, and then he gets like taken out. Like he doesn't die, but he's rendered useless the rest of the movie. So Halle Berry, the sexy Amy, and I don't know, Joe, what's his name from Cypher from The Matrix, is there too. Oh yeah, because he's from LA, even though he had a New York accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my sequel to Congo. So that's 3 sequels to Congo, all in one podcast.
I like that.
Yeah.
We all brought Joe Don Baker back.
I didn't bring back Tim Curry because you two both did that. Ryan's Tim Curry is you can't beat Diamonds Are Forever.
That's his plan, man.
He's gonna live forever. All right,
I am King Solomon. Like,
We should get on to the questions, but I do have a question for you.
Yeah,
Do you think this is anyone's favorite movie?
I thought about that watching it. Right, no. There's no way you could watch this movie and like it more than its contemporaries. I don't think you could watch this movie. I think it'd be hard to make a case that this is better than like Twister or Anaconda or even that Mighty Joe Young remake in the 90s. Like, I think it'd be really hard to really. I mean, it's fun. It's a fun movie to look through the bulletin points. Be like, oh yeah, Tim Curry. Oh yeah, lasers. Oh yeah, killer monkeys. Oh yeah, Ernie Hudson.
I want my diamonds.
Yeah, I want my diamonds.
Yeah.
Bruce
But
Campbell.
No, yeah, it's just rotten.
How is it that? I mean, looking through all that, the movie's only like 100 in
It's 140 minutes.
an hour and 40 minutes.
You're right, an hour.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And it's got all those good elements to it. How is it not better? Right? How is it not a better movie? It's not complete crap. It's just way more mediocre than it has any right to be. With that being said, we're going to take a quick transition, a quick break, and come back with questions from patrons. Let's hope I hit the right button.
It'll be real great.
I did. Every
Wow,
episode
it feels so good to hear that, like, when it happens.
I know, it's diegetic. Every episode of Guaranteed Audio, we take questions from patrons over at guaranteedvideo.com. And this week's episode, we have quite a few. Ryan, why don't you read the questions? Do you have the questions in front of you? Questions.
Just a moment. Yes, I do.
Should I put the reverb effect on Ryan? I feel like we're never going to get to use it.
Want to go?
Neil, you get to decide.
No.
Okay, Ryan, questions. Go for it.
All right. Sally, Queen of the Dead, wrote, "My name is Sally, and I've been a fan of y'all for over 10 years.
Obviously.
I think what I admire most about you all is your ability to have successful careers while living in New England as opposed to LA or New York.
Yeah.
I'm a musician as well as, a term that we use here colloquially, a masshole. Do you have any advice for promoting yourself as an artist / getting work in this part of the country? Wishing you health in these weird times."
Wishing you good health too, Sally.
Thank you, Sally.
Yeah, I think 20 years ago, you really had to be in one of those 2 major cities to make it as an entertainer or as an artist. But thanks to this thing called the internet, it's no longer the case. There were still some people kind of holding on to that old guard of like being presently in the room. Neil, I know your sister, when she did, I forget what the show was. It was before DuckTales. Was it Gravity Falls?
Gravity Falls.
Gravity Falls. And she was still able to like telecommute and like do her work remotely and like attend meetings and such through Hangouts and Skype and all that, right?
Yeah, she was ahead of the curve on that one.
Yeah, she really was. And now with COVID, I read an article the other day. I want to say it may have been the New York Times, but the whole thesis was our society has been thrust 20 years into the future because of COVID-19. Because now everyone has to live with the fact that, no, we don't need to commute. We don't need to be in the same office. Telecommunications are way better than a lot of people at the top rung of these companies are willing to admit. And I think that really helps with being an entertainer and a creator. I mean, the easy answer is, digital distribution, democratization of tool sets really helps.
Exactly. Sorry to interrupt there, Kevin.
No, I
but
could go forever. Yeah.
I want to also include the fact of, although productions of the future are going to look different. Live performances are going to be very different, and we don't know when our air quote normal will continue. But I do know I've yet to meet a person who is not here in America and the rest of the Western world. I can paint it with broad strokes. I've yet to meet a person who, in these difficult times of social distancing and hunker and bunker, who is not consuming a lot more audio and video content. Demand for content is going to continue to be very, very high. Higher than I would predict it has been in the past.
Yeah. I'd add one more thing to answer Sally's question. That is, for me personally, I've never been afraid to use my skill sets, use my discipline in workspaces that aren't entertainment firsthand. Like, I've never been afraid to do corporate video work. I've never been afraid to, work on like commercials and things like that. And I try really hard to always have at least 1 or 2 projects I'm working on concurrently, because everything I do, I learn a bit more on, and I can add it to my resume, and I can exploit it for our projects. Like, even like I bought this new mixer and some new headphones for, Guaranteed Audio to, this is the first episode we've used them on, but I'm learning a lot about, live EQing, like live mixing. Like, I can use this now to, I can market this as a skill for, like, say, like recording a band or doing live shows on Instagram and things like that. And what I'm getting at there is, the idea of like chasing down, like, I'm going to be a director in Hollywood, I'm going to be a musician on the radio. Hollywood and the radio don't matter the way they used to, right? I've been going through a lot of negotiating for my documentary, not for resale, like getting money secured. Like, I can't get into it yet, but it looks like, things worked out and we have a buyer, like we've been talking for a few months. And every now and then I look at the amount of money I'm getting to get my movie distributed through this major public channel versus how much money I've made through just selling it a la carte through like the likes of Vimeo and iTunes and Amazon and all that. And it's pretty comparable, I don't think you have to chase being the cream of the crop of these. It is an old standard. Like, the idea of being in LA to be a filmmaker is sort of an old standard. And obviously you can still make the most money doing that these days, right? You just have to ask yourself what you consider it means to be a major success. Like, how big do you have to get before you think, oh, I've made it? It's probably just, I just want to make a living. I just want to be able to pay for a house or whatever. You can do that if you market yourself to different industries that aren't just entertainment. I hope that made sense. What about you, Neil?
That makes sense. I don't have a lot of advice. I haven't taken a ton of freelance work, and a lot of my success has been, I think, pretty luck based. But just in terms of practicing different disciplines and stuff, I guess I would recommend trying to learn multiple skills at once. Because if you do find success or a foothold with one thing, that can subsidize other work that you're doing that might not make money or might not pay off immediately. And that's probably the best advice I can give, because I don't have the industrial skills or experience that Kevin has had, I think, with his filmmaking.
How about you, Ryan? Let's see. Like, what kept you in Massachusetts? Like, did you ever want to go to LA or New York?
Honestly, no.
Yeah.
I never thought like, oh, you have to be. I've known far too many people who've gone to less in New York because it's cost prohibitive, in spite of the fact that I don't know anyone moving to New York these days. I've known far too many people who've moved to Los Angeles and been like, yeah, this is not how it works. You don't just walk down the street, pick up a piece of paper off a flyer, and get a job.
That'd be kind of funny. You walk by like a telephone pole, and there's like one of those pieces of papers with the phone number fringe at the bottom. Like, want to be in a Steven Spielberg movie?
Yeah, but I do think that is a valid career path. I don't really want to.
Yeah. I know a lot of people
to it.
Yeah,
I've known people who have found success, but by moving to where the industry is.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's like someplace like Texas or somewhere where something specific's being filmed, and trying to get onto that crew and just learning as much as you can about the industry before coming to LA.
Yeah.
You might not necessarily become, like a named director that way, but you might become a production assistant or just any number of, roles in the industry.
And we're also lucky in New England that Boston it's a major city. And New York's only like a 4-hour drive away if I need to get there for something,
Mm-hmm.
But Okay, so
Sadly,
that was
we did not. I was going to say, sadly, our dreams of Massachusetts becoming a major film hub did not pan out.
Hollywood
No.
East, man, any day now. Let's go on to the second question. That was just the first one.
Oh, yeah.
You want to go, Ryan?
Sure. From our patron, Knucklehead MC Spazatron. Excellent. Regarding Congo, ... Didn't you guys use a clip from that movie in the Beyond Believability film?
We did not. We used footage from Jurassic Park and Carnosaur,
Correct.
Carnosaur.
which is not Congo. I'm sure Frank Marshall would be very bummed out to hear you thought Carnosaur was Congo.
Mr.
Have you-
McSpazatron, good question, but the answer is no.
Man, Beyond Believability came out great. I'm really proud of that one.
Yeah, that's like 10 movies in one.
Yeah, which is a bad decision. What's the next
All right,
one?
I'll read this one.
Sure.
Summergeist. Do y'all have any advice for my wife and I, who are both stay-at-home creatives, trying and failing to maintain some kind of schedule / regularity?
Yeah, that's like the big thing, right? And I've definitely fallen off that horse and gotten back on it a few times the last 2 months. Just, I mean, Neil, with you have a life form that demands your presence every morning.
Yeah, the upside of having a 2-year-old is it's kind of a built-in alarm clock. It gives your life some structure.
Yeah.
But it also eats up a lot of time, and by the time your kid goes to sleep, you're too tired to do much.
Yeah. It's like a built-in REM cycle stimulator.
Yeah.
So maybe like a dog is a good compromise.
Honest to God, I've been hanging out with this dog, Miles, my sister's dog, and he actually has given me, like I take him for 2 walks a day. He'll sometimes wake me up around like 7 a.m. to make sure I feed him and hang out with him. He really likes having me around. He's helped. I don't know, Ryan, do you have an answer cooked up yet?
all my advice here is going to sound like common sense, but I'll
Yeah.
just say it. Adhere to self-discipline is discipline.
Okay.
There's discipline that other people inflict on you, which is usually pain. Discipline is coming from yourself. Set boundaries and stick to them. Make your bed every day. Take a shower every day.
Brush your teeth every day.
Brush your teeth every day.
Yeah.
I've got my Fitbit on. Kevin's got one too.
Yeah.
Hit your steps every day going, well, I can do a little under this, a little under that. No. And when we're operating remotely through Zoom, Skype, Google Hangouts, doesn't matter. A lot of people feel fatigue. They feel like they're tired and exhausted from sitting in front of a screen all day. And when you don't disconnect work from home because they're existing in the same space,
Yeah.
you can get into a bad cycle. Set alarms on your phone, turn screens off. Whether you're watching something for fun or doing something for work, set limits of this and set healthy boundaries of when you're doing work and not.
Maybe don't use the screen for entertainment after work if you're telecommuting.
Exactly.
Yeah. If that's the case with summer.
And say you haven't posted to Facebook in a while. Say you haven't posted to Instagram. Say you haven't worked on whatever you're writing. Just set yourself an alarm on your phone and try to pick it up. If you do 10 minutes, at least you started.
Yeah. I think also too, what's happening to a lot of people right now is because they're staying at home so much, they have to kind of chase like fun dopamine hits, like little itty bitty just sparks every day. Like, oh, I kind of need today to matter. What's going to separate today from yesterday? And usually it's like, like what they eat, like a lot of people are eating more, obviously, because like that's like the fun thing to do. And I know personally, I caught myself having way too much caffeine about a month ago. I was having a lot of Diet Coke, a lot of different types of Diet Coke, every flavor of Diet Coke. So I don't know, maybe that's like one of the things to look into is just try to watch out for your caffeine intake after 3 p.m. Even 3 p.m. Like just that, maybe that's the last bit of caffeine you have. I know that helped me out. Okay, next question.
I'll take it from here. Michelle Monahan wrote, Kevin, why don't you return my texts anymore?
Next question.
Olivia D. wrote, have you ever had anyone send you weird edits of things you've made? I once posted a YouTube video of myself reading the poem Snake by D.H. Lawrence, and months later got a message from someone who used the audio in a pseudo-artsy Vimeo video. Use the audio in a pseudo-artsy Vimeo video of boa constrictors slithering over women in lingerie.
Huh. That's a weird thing to come
Possession is 9/10 of the law, Olivia D. And I'm not a copyright lawyer. However, have I seen my own work, our collective work, be reworked and repurposed in the form of the internet? YouTube poops, among others?
Yes.
Most certainly.
Yeah, it's always fun. Almost always fun. The earliest example I can think of that really blew me away was when we made this video about 12 years ago called Knock Knock. And it was just the three of us telling knock knock jokes in a room. And that was it. And it went over very well. And someone actually took the video and remade it shot by shot. Like it timed out perfectly. Like they just took the audio from our video and remade it with Legos. And it looks. Oh, yeah. And Ryan was a Qui-Gon Jinn Lego minifig. Neil, you had to have been Harry Potter. And I was a guy in a red T-shirt with a pizza on it.
That's the same video I was thinking of too.
I love that one.
That was so fun. I think Olivia just wanted to tell us about the snakes video.
That's
Olivia,
cool. Yeah.
When you find stuff of yours, your audio, your video, your content, used in a way that you don't like, you'd be surprised how effective it is to message them directly. Personal message, DM them, whether it's on Instagram or if it's on YouTube or if it's on Facebook, or you just email them going, this is my content, please take it down. And the vast majority of times, the other person does.
I'm trying to think of other YouTube poops I've seen of us. Like I saw a fun YouTube poop of Mr. Basement. That was fun. Someone took all of Ernest Roulette and edited it down into like 25 minutes of all the best stuff, which must have taken a long time because that's like 12 hours of content or something like that, maybe longer. And then, I mean, there's some stuff that's actually just straight up helpful. It's not even that weird. People will take, someone took The Creed, a movie I directed in 2013, and created, I believe it was Russian subtitles, I want to say. And they asked if it would be okay if they uploaded the movie to their YouTube channel with the subtitles. And I was like, oh, no, go for it. Because that's great. That means more people can watch the movie. What about you, Neil? Have you ever had anything really weird or out there? There's probably some, I've seen, there's the Sonic, that's fan art. But have you ever seen any of your work really like weirded up?
I'm sure I have quite a few times over the years. Nothing stands out to me. That Lego one was the first thing that came to mind, just because it's like pure. That was like just a different time, you know?
Yeah. Before Lego, the company, had really gotten its grip on YouTube. We got how many more? We got one more?
One more question. One. I'll read this one.
Cool.
Robert Peterson asks, speaking of Congo, I remember growing up, I had a licensed gorilla costume from the film. It was terrible, and the mask had that one disgusting rubber smell. Can either of you remember either movie tie-in or just bad store-bought costumes that you had growing up?
Ryan and I have discussed that exact smell before.
Yes. Good question, Mr. Peterson.
Yeah. Ryan, you must have one.
Well, as a person who used to work at Spirit Halloween, I can assure you that smell, that rubber mask smell, takes a long time to wash off when you're going through a lot of masks all day long.
Yeah.
I think back to a story from a long time ago I heard from a guy who had a werewolf costume of the short-lived Coors Light werewolf, because the beer Coors Light is known as the Silver Bullet.
Oh, okay, now it makes sense. I'm sitting there going, why the hell would Coors Light? Okay.
So for a little while they had a little werewolf as a marketing thing, and I believe somewhere in the days of Joe Camel of like, hey, you have a little cartoon wolf, like for a child. You're selling beer. They were like, yeah, and for a while they were in fact selling.
Oh my God, this thing looks like it belongs on Sesame Street.
Yeah, again, Coors Light, the Silver Bullet, is beer. Here in north of me, south of Kevin and Neil, was a little place in Plymouth, right across from Cordish Park, known as the Family Closet with a K, that unfortunately went out of business just about a year ago now, June of 2019. Things were simpler then, and they had a lot of old costumes, things that were knockoffs of intellectual properties, things that were the better quality ones were rentals, holiday-themed ones. Yeah. Every holiday, Santa for one time, a lot of Pilgrim and racist Native American for Thanksgiving. I mean, it is Plymouth, so that place had a lot of really interesting intellectual properties and a very, very distinct smell.
Yeah.
I have a good one. It is the smell. It wasn't really growing up, but at some point in my 20s, I think, or teens, I was still living at home, I think. And I found some website. It was like a costume wholesaler. And I was like, I wonder what the cheapest item that you can find on this website is. So I was just looking like, what are the costumes that are like $1?
Can I guess?
Sure.
Would it be like a Warriors of Virtue costume?
No. But it was these. I bought them because they looked bad in every product photo.
Yes.
These were like old stock John Goodman, Fred Flintstone masks. And they had just kind of flattened out over time.
So this is not Fred Flintstone, the character. This is John Goodman portraying Fred Flintstone.
This is Street Fighter, the movie, the game.
The live-action film with Kyle MacLachlan and yeah.
Let me see if I get Fred Flintstone mask. You'll find multiple.
Jesus Christ. I looked up this Coors Light werewolf.
Yep.
Man, it's so for kids. And there's one of the ads which contradicts what I just said is him hanging out with Elvira. And Elvira is like clawing at his chest and she's looking at the camera. And it's a print ad. And above her head, above her big hair, it says, "I love a man with a hairy chest." Buy this beer, kids.
No, but the Fred Flintstone one, I'll show it to you guys on the screen, but it's it's hideous. It looks like a Mike Myers,
Looks like if Hank Hill got run over.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's Leatherface-esque. So I bought like 12 of them. I bought a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
Because I just did shit like that back then. And I think I bought one Barney mask.
Well, I think that's it for the questions this week. This episode. I shouldn't say week because it implies we're going to do this in 7 more days. Hopefully we can get this episode out the door quicker than our previous episodes because
I hope we can too.
I think it doesn't require any real editing. Folks, this has been a fun episode. We got to talk about Congo for a long time, and it took a lot of effort for me to not text Neil and Ryan how much I loved Ernie Hudson in this movie. I'm glad we got to talk about Congo. We'll be back soon with more guaranteed audio. Do either of you have parting words for our listeners?
Well, as always, stay home, stay safe, listen to healthcare professionals like Dr. Fauci, and when in doubt, look up Pepsi commercials with Amy, the sign language talking gorilla.
Yes. Don't watch Congo.